Hey guys, my name is Ruthie. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Make sure you hit subscribe and check out some of my past videos. Today's part 2 of my last video, and I'm going to go deeper into body dysmorphia and talk about social media and how I've seen it affect our society, the way we talk to ourselves, and the way we talk to each other. I remember from a really young age understanding skinny and good as the same thing. I can remember being a little girl sitting down next to my sister, and she's just a little twig child. She always has been. She's a little fairy person. And just looking at my thighs next to hers and just being like, I'm fat. That's what I am. And like always squeezing the extra skin on my thighs. My mom would always just tell me, Ruthie, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to move, which is true. The pairing of skinny and good and fat and bad started really young for me and many other girls. All of this is definitely rooted in the brainwashing of our society of meeting this particular ideal. So where we see this directly in our lives is from each other. Whenever someone loses weight, it's always, oh, you got so skinny, you look so good. They always come hand in hand. When society praises skinny people and you always hear, you look skinny, you look good, your brain will automatically make the connection that skinny is good, and therefore fat is bad. Neither are true, but that's what our brains tell us. And just the word skinny in general, I'm not a fan of it. Ironically, has so much weight behind it, and I feel like it's a total toss-up whether that's a compliment or an insult to people now. I'd recommend just staying away from the word skinny altogether. And stop praising people for their looks in general. It's such a superficial way of communicating with each other. And obviously it's nice to compliment someone for their looks if you can see that they spent a lot of time doing their makeup or picking out their outfit. Like, that is completely fine. But if every time you're seeing someone, you're complimenting them on how they look, and then the next time you see them, you don't, there's a mind game that's being played there. I guarantee you what's going through their head is, oh, she didn't say I looked pretty today. She always tells me I look pretty. Does that mean I look really ugly today? It's just a lot kinder to compliment people on things that are more substantial than looks that are going to change any given day. You can be skinny and feel really bad and feel really unhealthy and frail and fragile. It creates this huge disconnect between us and the rest of the world when the feedback we're getting from the outside is opposite from how we feel on the inside. When I was in school and skinny, a lot of people would say they're so jealous, or it was all these like weird games of all your friends are complaining about how fat they are, and you're weirdly left out because you can't say anything because you're just this skinny person. And then you feel really shamed by it. Skinny shaming is real, and so is fat shaming. Especially for groups of girlfriends growing up in middle school and high school especially, most conversations come back to or are rooted in appearances and comparing yourself to others. I know when I was deep in my anorexic thoughts and feeling really, really awful about myself, I would walk around the world, especially in the modeling industry, and be praised. And all the feedback I was getting from the outside world was the opposite of how I felt on the inside. It just created this huge disconnect between myself and my body and my thoughts. And I didn't feel like I was able to trust my thoughts because I would feel bad, but be told that I was good. So, okay, what's wrong with me then? Is it my head that's not good? Because everyone seems to agree that I look good, but I don't feel good. So now what? The only thing that has helped me with this so far is stop listening to the outside world when it comes to your appearance. And that is so much easier said than done, especially these days with social media. And you can work toward getting constant validation if you really want to. When I was really working hard on getting my measurements down and trying to really make it modeling wise, I would constantly be going for runs. I would be doing yoga. I'd be doing face masks. I'd be drinking tea when I was hungry. And I'd be doing all these things that as activities, they're healthy, positive things to do. But the hate I had for myself and my appearance was what was fueling those activities. I was doing yoga because I didn't think I was lean enough. I was running because I ate too much the night before and I didn't want it to show. I was doing face masks because my face was breaking out and I felt hideous. I was drinking tea when I was hungry because I didn't want to get fatter. Plain and simple. So you take these things that as actions, they're great. But what is driving that force? If it's because you hate yourself and you want to change, then these things become toxic activities. I would constantly just look in the mirror and take these pictures so that I could compare my weight to the previous days and make sure I wasn't getting any bigger. I'd be measuring every single part on my body and write it down and make sure that I wasn't getting any more inches on me. In my spare time, I'd look down at my thighs and keep squeezing that extra and be like, I don't need this. Why is this here? This is all extra. I don't need it. And then I got to some point where it was just taking up so much of my life, obsessing over my weight and my looks, that I started to think about how much time have I actually spent doing this? And what other things could I have done in that time? What things could I have learned about? What skills could I have gained if I wasn't so obsessed with how I look and what my weight is? Once I decided to stop caring, it was an act of self-love to eat fried chicken every night. It was an act of self-love to lay around and not work out and watch TV because I was doing the opposite of what I had always been doing, which felt like very toxic behavior. And after about a year of doing that, when I went up to 165, the heaviest I'd ever been in my life, I threw out all my skinny clothes and I'm like, all right, this is my natural weight. This is my healthy weight because I've just been modeling since I was really young. So I never let myself find out what my natural weight is. And I guess this is it. I guess I'm a big girl. Okay. And I was trying to convince myself that that was true. And I didn't want to admit all the unhealthy habits that I had. Once I got sick from eating too much food again, I kind of had a wake up call and was like, you know, yoga made me feel good. Running makes me feel good. I miss those things that made me feel good. I realized how I spent so much time doing the right things, but for the wrong reason. I was doing all of these things for the pure purpose of being called pretty to people on the outside. And how I felt was never a part of the equation. I had to rediscover how to do all of these things that I used to do, but allow self-love to fuel the action instead of self-hate. Face masks, yoga, running, doing makeup, picking out the perfect outfit. Before, I would spend hours putting on so much makeup and picking out the perfect outfit so that people would think I was pretty outside. And I had to learn how to do that stuff because it makes me feel good and it makes me feel confident. It makes me feel pretty. I had to learn to do yoga because stretching feels so good and breathing feels so good. I had to learn how to run because of how nice I felt afterwards. I had to learn how to do face masks because it's time to just relax and nourish my skin, the largest organ in my body. So I definitely think I needed that time off from doing those activities. I think it would have been difficult, but definitely possible to keep doing the same activities and flip the source of what's driving it. It was really nice to rediscover all of these things and sort of start a new chapter in my life. So to start this, you really just have to hear those urges, hear the voice in your head that's telling you that you're fat and you need to do all these things to make you not fat, or the voice telling you that you're ugly and you have to do all these things to make you not ugly. Hear them. Those voices will always be there. The trick is to not let those voices guide your actions. So you hear the urges, and then in turn, you do something that actually makes you feel good and that nourishes your body, your mind, and your soul. And only you really know what those things are. Things that you purely enjoy and that make you feel energized and positive after. Drink hot tea, take some deep breaths, do some yoga, go for a run, go for a walk in the park, call up a good friend, cook or bake something, watch your favorite movie. There's so many things you can do that make you feel nice and make you feel good. And you deserve to do those things. You don't deserve to be spending your time thinking about how much you hate yourself or how ugly you think you are. It's just not fair to you. These are mind patterns. There's this metaphor of your thoughts being like a ski slope. When you travel down the same thoughts, the path gets deeper and deeper, so it's easier and easier to fall into those thought patterns. You have to make it snow in a way, and you have to level out the slope. At the beginning, you really have to force yourself to start new paths. But over time, when you keep going down these different paths, it becomes deeper and deeper and it becomes habit. Whenever you want to change a thought pattern, it's really hard work. You have to treat it like going to the gym. You have to treat it like a physical workout. Your brain acts just like a muscle. If you want to think a certain way, you can do it, but you have to train. You have to catch yourself every time you start thinking in a way that is unhelpful to you. and you have to replace it with something that is helpful to you. So this is why mantras and affirmations are so helpful. Every time you hear that voice saying that you're getting fat and ugly, you tell yourself, I am beautiful and perfect and nothing will change that. And it's gonna sound corny. You're not gonna believe yourself at first, but you have to keep saying it anyway. And eventually you will. And you really just have to have trust in yourself and trust in this process. It's not easy, but it is so worth it. So when I first stopped caring about my outward appearance, I really equated all of those healthy things that I used to do as conforming to society. Those things were just society's way of tricking women into fitting into this perfect ideal body mold. But then after a year of not caring, I realized that I just switched to the opposite end of the spectrum, on the opposite extreme. Like how a lot of Buddhist teachings will say is take that middle path. So throughout your day, notice what energy is fueling your activities. Because sometimes the most wholesome activities can actually be really toxic if we're doing it for the wrong reasons. When we're angry at ourselves and we hate ourselves, that energy overpowers everything. We have to relearn how to let self-love fuel every activity that we do. Because at the end of the day, don't you just want to feel good? Doesn't everyone just want to feel good and be happy? And we've been taught, look good, feel good, right? No. Feel good, look good. If you feel good, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. People are going to notice and you are going to bring a light wherever you go. If you feel good, you will automatically look good. And then you can feel good again. So what we should be saying is feel good, look good, and then feel good. So train yourself to let feeling good be your first priority. And think about all of that energy that you spend in trying to look good and see if you can just flip that same energy into feeling good. And there will be good days and bad days. Some days the voice saying that you're getting fat is going to be really, really loud. But that does not mean that you're off track. That doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. That's going to happen. And as Jennifer Pasteloff says, you should read her book On Being Human. I'll put a link below. That's just your inner asshole trying to get the last word. And your job is to not let your inner asshole win or guide your actions in any way. You hear the inner asshole, and then you do something that makes you feel good anyways. Practice. And don't confuse doing things that make you feel good with doing things that make you happy in the moment. They're very different things. So when I first stopped caring, I was always doing things that made me happy in the moment. I was going out drinking with friends because that was fun. I was eating fried chicken because it tasted so good in the moment. I was laying around watching TV because that's what I wanted to do in that moment. I was not thinking about my future self at all. So sometimes doing the things that make you feel good isn't going to make you happy in the moment. Cleaning the house isn't always the most fun thing to do, but just think about how good you'll feel once the house is clean. Going for a run can be so miserable while you're doing it, but you think about how good you're going to feel afterwards and how proud you'll feel. You have to take that same principle and apply it to everything. And something I say to myself a lot is do the things your future self will thank you for. And sometimes when I'm cleaning the dishes and I really don't want to, I'll just repeat to myself, future Ruthie is going to be so happy with you. Future Ruthie's going to thank you. It just makes it a little bit nicer because you have someone that you're doing it for. You're doing it for yourself. Because you know that if you let the grease sit in the pan, it's going to piss off your future self because it's going to be so much harder to scrape it off. But if you just clean it right away, you don't have to worry about that at all. And you really have to think about the things that you spend your time doing and the things you spend your time worrying about and how many of those things can be eliminated just by small little things. By putting your clothes directly in the hamper instead of throwing them on the floor. That saves you having to go around the house and pick up your dirty clothes. Prepping your meals is the same sort of thing. If you have a really busy week and you're working a lot, using your day off to prepare for your busy days. It'll free up so much of your mental energy and time. So now I'll talk a little bit more about social media. I know that having followers and having this clout on a social platform exists for all people, not just models. But as a model, it is your resume and it's your job. So for me personally, when I started obsessing about Instagram was when it really started to affect my modeling career. When I would start going to castings and they'd have you write down what your Instagram handle is and how many followers you have. And I would hear that they would throw out ones that had less than 10K. When I first heard that, my only goal was to get 10,000 followers. That was it. Everything I was doing had that in mind. I think it was back in 2017, I did a few spreads for Playboy. And once Playboy posted me on their Instagram, I think I had maybe like 800 followers before that. And I went up to like 33,000 followers in one night. And when it first happened, I was ecstatic. I was like, this is everything I've worked for. It's finally happening. I was thinking about all of the jobs I can get from this exposure, how much money I can make from this exposure. And it felt like everything I had worked for was finally paying off. And that lasted for about 10 minutes. And then I fell so deep into a hole of sadness because it didn't feel good. I was getting so many creepy messages. I was getting so many gross dick pics. I was getting so many followers and eyes on me that I did not want on me. And it made me feel dirty. It made me feel like I was cheating and I took like the easy route of having my tits and ass out there. So yeah, that's how you're going to get followers. And I felt ashamed. I felt really ashamed with myself. And I started to see the fame that I've always wanted. I started to see that on the horizon. I was like, it's there. And I didn't want it anymore. I didn't want it that way. I started thinking about all of the positive things that I want to do in my life and the positive impact I want to have on people. And then hearing people saying that, oh, she just started as a Playboy model, or she only is successful because she's pretty. And it sent me into this anxiety spiral of what did I do? And that was when I decided to quit modeling because I didn't like where I was heading. I didn't feel ready to be in any sort of public eye either. I was such a mess internally. And I knew that if I was to be in any sort of public eye right now, it could taint the plans that I have for my future. And I didn't want this to follow me. I didn't want to be interviewing for jobs, have them Google my name and see me on Playboy. And and Playboy is a great magazine. They're really changing a lot of their values. They're producing beautiful, beautiful stuff right now. So it's not even a knack on Playboy. It's just the facts of what it is. It's me on Playboy and feeling like I was too young and maybe it was a little weird and I don't know. It was just all these. I really don't want this to be anything bad about Playboy or people who do show their body and are proud of it, like I'm not knacking any of that. This is just me personally and what I felt comfortable with. Some women can own $1 billion company and still be on the cover of Playboy or Sports Illustrated and feel like completely confident because they're confident in who they are. And me at the time was not confident in who I was. I didn't know anything. I was still very anorexic at the time. So I didn't want my jump into the spotlight to be from this, if that makes sense. And that's not to say in the future that I might not be $1 billion company owner and still be on Playboy. Like that could still happen. But at the time, it wasn't right. And it really made me feel awful. So I stopped posting pictures of myself. I started gradually losing followers. Literally all of my followers that I have on Instagram, people like look at my Instagram and they're like, oh, she's like a well-known yoga person. Like I'm blowing up my own spot here because I'm still consistently losing followers from those posts in 2017 from Playboy. I was at 33K and now I'm at like 12 something. I'm constantly going down because every photo that I post that's not my tits and ass, there's more creepy guys that hit unfollow. Thank you. So I'm really just working on weeding out my Instagram and just staying true to myself. That's all you can do is post the things that you want to see on there, post the things that make you happy, and people who are on that same vibe are going to find you and they'll follow you, and that's great. So tying this back into what I was saying before, it might make you instantly happy to take a picture of yourself at the perfect angle where you look really skinny and you're showing off to someone that you look really good right now and posting it and getting those people affirming that you're pretty and that, yeah, great job. You took a great picture of yourself and you're pretty awesome. That might make you instantly happy. But if you think about your future self, at least for me, I compare. I go back and look at that picture and I think about when I took that. And I think about how the goal of that was to prove something. And it doesn't make me happy to look back on pictures like that of myself. So I'm not saying don't post pictures where you look skinny and pretty. I'm saying don't post those pictures because you want to show other people that you're skinny and pretty. There's a big difference there. Don't post pictures to prove anything to anyone. Post pictures of yourself because you love the way that you felt when that photo was taken and you want to remember that feeling. Instagram is your highlight reel. So when you look through your own Instagram, it should make you happy. It should remind you of all of the blessings that you have in your life, of good times and good memories. And if you're looking through your Instagram and you see photos that remind you of a time where you were not in a good place mentally, or where you might look really good but you felt really awful, you can archive those, you know? You can get rid of them on your feed, because when you look through your Instagram, you should be happy. Your Instagram is like your photo album. It's your highlight reel. It should make you happy to look at it. And if it's making you feel judgmental about yourself, then just make some changes. It's easy. So if you're out there and thinking that followers are the only thing that's going to make you happy, and if that's what your goal is right now, just take a second to second guess that. Don't obsess over it. Don't get one of those apps that tells you when someone unfollows you. Like, that is just so toxic, because you don't know why they're unfollowing you. They might be unfollowing you because they're really jealous of you and you trigger them. It's a personal thing when someone unfollows you. And I suggest that you go and unfollow people that trigger you, or mute them at least. Hi, honey. He just has to get in the camera. Like, he really does. Come here, baby. That was Bagel. He's cute. So takeaways from this video are to do things that make you feel good and make you feel happy. And if you do know that you're doing activities with self-hate fueling them, then listen to that and accept that. The first step always is going to be accepting that. Like, everything you're doing in life could be fueled by self-hate, but if you don't admit that to yourself, you can't do anything about it, and you're just going to continue to let self-hate fuel your life. And you might have to. You know, we all have a path, and we're incapable of hearing things unless we're ready to hear it. So if you happen to be watching this video and this is all resonating with you, and you hear this and it feels like something that you're meant to hear, go with that and trust that. But if you're hearing this video and you think I'm talking a lot of shit and none of it's helpful, then okay, you know, like, this isn't for you. Everything I say in these videos is meant for someone to hear them, because I would not be saying them if they weren't, you know? I really hope that these videos just find the right ears. And if you are watching this and someone comes to mind, send it to them. We have to learn how to trust those instincts. Like, if you have a gut reaction to send an inspiring quote to someone, if you read something and a random person pops into your head and you're not sure why, that's probably a sign that you're meant to share that information. We're in this together, and we have to learn how to get out of our heads and start serving and giving to others. And it's so hard. Like, trust me, I've been planning on doing videos like this for 6 years, and it's now finally happening. I can say how I truly feel during these videos, but it's my job to live that. And a lot of days I don't, I'll be completely honest. Some days I'll sit down and write up what I want to talk about, or I'll record the video I want to talk about. And then when I'm honest with myself and look at how I spent the rest of that day, it's a whole lot of nothing, you know? But we have to be so patient, and we have to be so honest with ourselves. Honesty, acceptance, and patience are the keys to most things in life. We have to look at ourselves objectively and self-critically, but not in a mean way. You have to look at yourself as you would look at your best friend, someone who you love so much that even if they do something that's really messed up, it doesn't change the way that you feel about them, because you know that their core is good. That's you too. You are also that way. But we can get so caught in thinking the absolute worst of ourselves because we know what our hidden intentions are. We know what the driving force is. But that's not you. The core of everything is good. I truly, truly believe that. Even the devil is a fallen angel. There is a light of good in every single person. And the more we focus on that light, the more it grows. So focus on feeling good, focus on making other people feel good, and everything else will just fall into place as it's meant to fall into place. Be so patient with yourself, and don't get discouraged if you're not where you want to be even a few years from now. Something I heard recently that really helped me out was not to focus on your current result, but focus on your trajectory. If every single day you're acting from a place of self-love and self-care and you're doing the things that you know you need to do, be confident in that and walk strongly in that. And then if you're doing things every day that you know might not be the best for you, just start to slowly implement changes. Don't try to flip your life upside down in one day because that's not sustainable. Don't try to change every single bad habit you have all at once. Focus on one small thing you can do. For instance, if it bothers you that you hit snooze too many times, the next day, tell yourself you're only going to hit snooze one time. Or tell yourself you're not going to hit snooze at all. Small changes. And you could even do one of those a week, one of those every few weeks. You know what your threshold is and you know what you can handle. So it might be best for you to change everything all at once. Some people are really good at the cold turkey, just like drop all the toxic things, take on all the good things, and it lasts for them. Some people are like that. You might be like that. Some people, me, if you decide to do all of that really fast, it's not sustainable, and then I'll end up falling right back into my bad habits probably like a month later. But if you're very serious about this, you can sit down and write down a plan for yourself. Make columns of the things you love about yourself and the things that you don't love about yourself. Not hate, just don't love. And look at that list and really analyze that. And think about what little things you can change to flip that. So for me, I don't love how I get jealous of people. I don't love how I'm self-critical and put other people on a pedestal and then get very jealous. I don't love that feature about myself. So to practice getting out of that, what I'm doing is anytime that I have a jealous thought, anytime that I compare myself inadequately to someone else, I notice it. First thing, you just notice that you do that. Notice every time you do that. And then I tell myself that I'm enough. And we can't compare people in this life. We're all so different. We're all the same, but we're all so different. We can't compare our journey to someone else's. All of our paths have been written, and all we do is walk through them and do the work to hear the messages we're meant to hear. Set yourself up for the best possible scenario. That's all you can do. If someone were to present you with a life-changing opportunity tomorrow, would you be ready? You might not be ready. So what things could you do to be ready? If I had been doing this work 3 years ago, I might have felt ready once Playboy posted my picture, and I would have been ready to capitalize on that and form some sort of business from that exposure, But I wasn't, and that's okay. I got scared and I ran away. It's okay to do that. I wasn't ready. That wasn't part of my path. And I have to learn how to do the work so that if some crazy, amazing opportunity were to come up tomorrow, that I would feel confident in who I am to take that on. And that's not an easy task. It's something we have to work every day for. But every day that you do work for that, you're a little bit closer to your true self. And that's what this life is about. We just want to get closer to our true self. We just want to become the best possible version of ourselves. So if you're, shit. So some mantras to take away from this are, do the things your future self will thank you for. I am exactly where I need to be at all times and in all ways. And everything happens exactly as it should. No matter how painful that truth is. It's a truth. So I hope you found this video helpful, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if you have any requests or questions or things you want to hear about in future videos. I will be sure to address them some way and somehow. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.